I'd like to talk a little bit about my Ford podcast about two things. First, the music of J.S. Bach. Bach wrote 223 religious cantatas. He would start on a Monday, and as a Lutheran, he followed the Catholic feast days. His idea involving doing masses for various feasts and holy days. As I said, he would start on Monday over a period of 5 years roughly, and he would have to plan on whether he would have solos or soprano, alto, tenor, bass. He would have to use the instruments of the time, which were similar to what we have today in orchestras all over the world. He was an organ builder and is generally regarded as the greatest musician of all time. His plan would start on a Monday, and over a period of roughly 5 years, he would plan a liturgical mass for that week. He did not have the use of Finale software or Dragon speech software, and everything had to be written down by hand. Then after he decided on one cantata to look like, the next few days were spent getting transcribers to write down the parts for the weekend service. Bach was married 2 times. He had 20-some children. Many of these went on to be great composers in their own right. The second person I would like to talk about is Martin Luther. Luther was born November 10th, 1483, and in 1491 Luther began primary school. In 1498, he went on to secondary school in Eisenach. It's interesting to note that I was in Eisenach, which is also the birthplace of J.S. Bach. In 1501, he entered the University of Erfurt. In 1502, he received his baccalaureate degree and began studying for his master's. In 1505, he received his master's, and in 1505, he began law school at the University of Erfurt. In July of that year, Luther is caught by a thunderstorm on the way back to Erfurt from his Paris house and vows to St. Anne to enter a monastery. In July 15th of that year, he entered the Black Augustinian friar in Erfurt. In 1507, he began the study of theology at the University of Erfurt, and on April 3rd, 1507, Luther is ordained to the Catholic priesthood. In 1510, he went to Rome, and in 1511, he returned to Erfurt. Luther received his doctorate in theology in 1514, and he became a priest for the Wittenburg City Church in Erfurt. In 1517, Johann Tetzel began selling indulgences on the border of Saxony, and on October 31st, 1517, Luther posts his 95 Theses. In the summer of 1518, the papal court begins an inquisition in response to Luther's ideas. On August 7th, 1518, Luther is summoned to Rome to answer charges against him. In 1518, he travels to Augsburg for an interview with Cardinal Cajetan. That didn't go very well. On May 10th of 1521, Luther arrives at Wartburg Castle and is hidden away as Squire George. In 1522, there was a religious upheaval in Wittenberg. Monks refused to say private mass, a few priests marry, and students destroy the altar at the Franciscan monastery. A word should be said about Pope Pius X. His papacy was a corrupt one, to say the least. He said that, now that I have the papacy, let us enjoy it. And he would hold parties and do excessive things that no pope should ever do. A word about Luther's interior life. He had obsessive-compulsive disorder. When he first said Mass, he felt that if he didn't say the words exactly right, he would be condemned to hell. This fear finally left him when he went to Rome and ascended the Sancta Scala. On that, going up that stair, the realization came to him that if he just trusted in God, he wouldn't have to do all the penances that he had been doing for such as the laying in the snow for an hour or two at a time, and all sorts of other penitential acts. Luther was not a saint by any means. In his book Table Talk, he is very profane and uses language that is not becoming of anyone. I wrote a book on Table Talk with Martin Luther. It was published in 2005 by Author Host. I hope you enjoyed this podcast.